Well, hi guys, welcome. And who dat? Who dat say they gonna beat them Saints? Well, this week our beloved bless you boys in black and gold fell to the New England Patriots. In another close game where the Saints had a chance to tie or win late in the game, the Saints come up short once again. Final score, the New England Patriots 25, the New Orleans Saints 19. And yeah, once again, we're feeling frustration. It's weird because if we would just accept that our team's no good, it's rebuilding, we all accept that. Then you see the team go out there and play with a lot of energy, effort, and come up short. You start to examine the problems, and there's so many. This team needs a new roster. We need playmakers everywhere. And we're not even sure if we've got the quarterback of the future. We don't know if our number one wide receiver is it. Doesn't feel like it. We don't think our number one tight end is it. Doesn't feel like it. Starting offensive line started and finished the whole game. First time all year. Are those your five starters of the future? Didn't feel like it. What about on defense? I heard that the Saints got more pressures in this game against their opponent than they've gotten in like the last 5 years. Did it feel like we were creating pressure against Drake May this past weekend? Didn't feel like it to me. I was kind of shocked when I heard that. I'm starting to wonder about these analytics because I watched the game and every time Drake May had anybody close to him, he just seemed to easily, comfortably position himself to get the pass off or to run for yards. It felt like it felt like it felt like this team all year long, with the exception of Seattle and with the exception of the Giants. And still in the Giants, we gave up two touchdowns in the Giants' first two possessions. We've given up two touchdowns in the first two possessions versus every opponent we faced in the last month. 4 games in a row now, our opponent has gotten the ball twice to start the game and scored a touchdown on both of those possessions. So our defense did great against the Giants. Yeah, after giving up 14 points in two possessions, we managed to figure it all out. So this defense is starting slow. The offense, well, compared to the beginning of the year, we're starting off a lot faster. We're putting points on the board with our first drive, albeit a field goal. At least we're getting points on the board in the first quarter. First 3 games, I don't think we scored in the first quarter. Little increments of improvement. Just enough to say, yeah, Rattler's improving. He's looking good. Man, if we just had pieces around him. The coaching, well, he screwed this up last week, but he seemed to improve it this week. The penalties, oh, well, they weren't as bad as they were the week before. It's always little incremental things, but this team is also falling back into bad habits. Once you think you've solved the problem, like with the penalties, and then in this game we get 8 penalties. Bad crew, I get it. The other team had 11 penalties. So anytime you get 6 penalties or more, it's a problem for me. Anytime you allow 14 points in the other team's first two possessions, that's a big problem for me. I mean, at least in this game, we managed 2 field goals in the first quarter, so we were keeping the game close. We score a touchdown to get to within 14-13. And then right before the 2-minute warning of the half, we drive down the field, we kick a field goal, we take the lead. 16-14. And it feels like that, yeah, this is what we did the week before. We managed a last minute drive in the first half to take the lead right before half. This is what you want to see this team doing. So what do we do before the half's even up? 2 minutes to go before the half's up. We let New England drive down the field and get an 8-point touchdown. So Last week against the Giants, it was the defense was finishing and not the offense. Well, this week in the first half seemed like the offense finished their last possession of the half. They get a field goal. You just get your defense to go out there and stop New England. You can go into the half with the score. No, New England scores an 8-point touchdown. And we actually get another possession with 15 seconds to go or something like that, a timeout or two. We run a play. It's not successful. We don't bother calling a timeout and trying to run two more plays. We don't try to get 20 more yards and get in field goal range. We just let the clock run out. Let's go into halftime losing, which is what happened, 22-16 at half. And in the second half, I'm supposed to be happy with what the defense did, and I'm not. We only held the Patriots only scored 3 points in the second half. And our offense could have put up so many points in the second half. The offense failed in the second half, obviously, because we couldn't regain the lead. But yeah, the defense let me down in the second half because New England had an extended drives. They kept the ball. They weren't getting yards in the running game, but they still managed to keep the ball away from us. And with the few possessions we had in this game, we weren't able to do anything in the second half. So it's always something. Defense, yeah, you kept the team out of the end zone, but you couldn't get them off the field. Not enough in the second half. Just frustrating. All around frustration. You feel like the coaching staff, with just a few more pieces, we could be turning these losses into wins. But I can't tell you what pieces are going to be the most important. Maybe it's quarterback. Maybe. Spencer Rattler looks great. You give him a wide receiver, a tight end, and an offensive lineman, and then maybe the red zone woes go away. Maybe the the when we get in the red zone we suck. And then they were saying, well, no, yeah, usually when we get around the 30 we suck. And then now they're saying, no, once we cross the 50 we suck. So we're plus territory, we have problems. Plus territory problems. Plus territory problems. Well, as long as we're on our side of the field, look out. But the closer we get to scoring points, the worse we perform as an offense. Let's pull up the offensive stats and let's talk about it. I did do the stats for this game, even though we lost. There's some things to talk about here. On offense, Spencer Rattler, 20 of 26, 227 yards. Rattler was sacked twice. He got out of a lot of pressures. He ran the ball and he was on point. He didn't turn the ball over. His accuracy was actually pretty decent. It's as good as it's going to get from Rattler. So let's get over this notion that Rattler's going to all of a sudden throw with touch, anticipation, and accuracy. That's never going to happen. He's as accurate as he's going to be, and he's completing 70 plus percentage of his passes. So he's accurate enough. Matter of fact, what I'm seeing is wide receivers and tight ends dropping balls they should have caught. Yeah, it was a little inaccurate. And like what you hear all the content providers saying, we see these catches done by other wide receivers all the time. Rattler had 6 incompletions in this game. So let's look at the receiving. All right, the running game. Nothing going on there. Kamara, 10 carries, 31 yards. Miller, 8 carries, 21 yards. Rattler, 4 carries, 20 yards, the most effective runner of the bunch. Hill got 1 carry at the 1 yard line. He converted that into a touchdown. Hill had more snaps in this game than he did last week, but he only touched the ball once. And I think this is, to try to keep a team honest. Let's put Hill out here on playing tight end and running around and doing these other things and not target him because last week against the Giants, every time he was in the game, we targeted him. He gave him the ball. So let's play him a bunch of plays and he doesn't get the ball. Eventually, it's all going to build into something that's going to result in the points, I'm assuming. Because it seems pretty obvious to me. Once you get in the red zone, you go big. That way, you can run the ball effectively and you have big targets to throw the ball in the red zone with effectively. So And when we get in the red zone, if you don't see Devon Bailey and Juwan Johnson out there as your primary two receivers, if you still see Brandon Cooks and Chris Olave out there in the red zone, then you're not doing your team any favors. Because Olave's not, never was, and never will be a red zone threat. Chris, let's talk about the receiving because that's the part that pisses me off. Rattler had 6 incompletions. Olave had 6 catches for 98 yards. Wow. Sounds good. 16.3 yards a catch. Wow. Well, he was targeted 10 times. So there's 4 incompletions right there. 4 of Rattler's 6 incompletions went to Olave. And I talked about this in previous videos. He gets the lion's share of the targets, but we don't see the completions. 6 catches, 10 targets. Was it really his fault? You tell me. There was one play where it's a beautiful pass to the end zone. Olave dives. It's off his fingertips. He doesn't catch it. Would it be a great catch? Yeah. Would it be an impossible catch? Ask Tez Johnson, who's 5'9", 160 pounds, soaking wet. But that's a hard catch to make because he made it. We saw New England's wide receivers make catches when they needed to be made. We saw Hayshawn Booty catch the ball and not fumble it away. We saw a guy named Douglas get a big play. Rashid Shaheed, who everybody knows and might draft, can't make a play. But this guy Douglas from the Patriots can make a couple of plays, no problem. So the first incompletion to Olave in the end zone, he should have caught it. If he's a true number one, he catches it. There was no effort from the cornerback to disrupt that play. Olave looked back on the route, slowed his route up. I think he looked back to get the cornerback to bite, and then he was going to try to get past him. But he slowed down when he looked back, and then when he tried to get past him, the cornerback was in decent position. So that could be on Olave right there. Maybe he thought looking back would make the cornerback bite. The cornerback might have bit, but not enough because he was right in his hip pocket when the ball came. And because he slowed his route up, the ball was slightly overthrown. Maybe Olave runs that route instead of stopping and looking back. Maybe he runs that route completely and it's an easy touchdown. Regardless, that's one drop. What's the other drop? The one that he caught and then he fumbled, but they called it an incomplete pass. But the referees were awful in this game. Olave caught the ball and fumbled it, but they called that one incomplete. So that's on Olave too. The third one, Olave jumps up in the air when he doesn't have to. Jumps up in the air and catches the ball between his legs and immediately throws the ball to the turf. Up, up, yeah. Oh well, I know. I'm no Jamar Chase. I'm no Justin Jefferson. I'm not even Stephon Diggs. I'm not even Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave. And 6 incompletions by Rattler, and that's 3 of them that were on Olave. You're not a number one. Bottom line, you're not a number one. Alvin Kamara had 5 catches on 5 targets for 45 yards. Rashid Shaheed had 4 catches, which is his staple. He catches 4. Sometimes it's for 100 yards. Sometimes, most of the time, it's for about 40. In this game, it's for only 28, and that's what we're going to get. Rashid was targeted 6 times, so 2 of the incompletions went to Shaheed, but Shaheed doesn't drop balls. And yeah, that's your 6 incompletions. 4 to Olave, which I can blame Olave for 3 of them, and 2 to Rashid Shaheed. So Rattler's almost got a perfect day. Those 2 incompletions to Rashid must have been on Rattler. Maybe a good play by the cornerback. I don't know. There weren't very many incompletions for the Saints, but there weren't any touchdowns either. Uh, Brandon Cooks, 1 target, 1 catch, 21 yards. Juwan Johnson, 2 targets, 2 catches, 15 yards, and a fumble. Juwan Johnson in a big moment in a game, once again letting us down. Kendre Miller had 1 catch on 1 target for 11 yards. It was a beautiful catch. Kendre Miller can catch the ball. The only reason why people don't think he's a great receiver is because we never throw him the ball. The man's a great receiver. Yeah, it let him be involved in the passing game too. And Foster Moreau had one target, one catch, 9 yards. So overall, we have no playmakers on offense. We need a number one wide receiver, a guy with size, the guy you're going to go to when it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and all you got to do is call a simple slant and throw it to him. That's all you got to do. Watch other teams in the league. I know it's not Madden. It's not that simple, but it kind of is when you get a guy like Marcus Colston who can run a slant and use his body and catch it. When you draft a guy like Michael Thomas who can use his body to block the DB out and run a slant and catch it. When you have a big guy at tight end who can run a route and use his body, like Jimmy Graham or Benjamin Watson, but not Jared Cook and not Jawan Johnson. So we need a tight end who can actually play tight end. And we need a big wide receiver. And we need two offensive guards because Trevor Penning's struggling. He didn't look good. Cesar Ruiz, probably his best game, maybe, so far this year. He didn't look that good. Too much pressure. We're giving up too much pressure on offense. And the offensive play calling, the design, the whole scheme of everything. I'm not going to say Kellen Moore's no good because Kellen Moore's doing real good. He's trying to figure out what his pieces can do. He's trying to figure out what's going to be most effective. Some days it seems like it's the running game. Some days it feels like you need to get the ball to your playmakers. You don't have any of those. And the running game works a lot better when someone else besides Chris Olave is out there blocking because Chris Olave gave up a bunch of plays as a blocker too. He can't block. You get in the red zone and put Devon Bailey and Juwan Johnson, at least you have a fighting chance to run block, and then you have a fighting chance to make a contested catch in the end zone. And I hope this is what this offense evolves into because right now it's looking pretty iffy. It's almost as if Kellen Moore is trying to change too much all the time. He has no idea what's going to work. He keeps changing everything. We're doing some things, but he doesn't have the team. He might need a new quarterback too. He just might. Because after a while you get sick of losing. I don't think Tyler Shuck should be sat. As a matter of fact, I think pardon me, Spencer Rattler. I don't even care about this quarterback crap. Just start one and have him be good. So how do I feel about Spencer Rattler? I don't think Rattler should be sat. It's really not because of his performance. His performance has been good. As a matter of fact, I think Spencer Rattler's performance is so good right now that you could sit him the rest of the year, start Tyler Shuck, find out what you have with Shuck. And then if Shuck is an abstract, complete failure, I'm comfortable enough in what Spencer Rattler's done to go in the next year as Spencer Rattler being our starting quarterback. But you have to know what you have with Shuck first. You have to. You can't wait until the bye week and just give Shuck 4 or 5 weeks and then think you know. Okay, give a rookie at least a month to fail spectacularly, then give him a couple of more games to show whether he's going to improve or not. I mean, that's the only way you're going to know what you have with Shuck. You can't wait till the bye week to start Shuck and then have Shuck start 5 games and think you know what the hell's going on. Shuck needs to get 4 games under his belt to fail spectacularly for us to lose the game because of Shuck. And then the second month he's our starting quarterback, you hope you see some improvement. And maybe we can get some layered accuracy with some of these routes that are being run that Spencer Rattler won't throw. Maybe we get the deep game going. Maybe something changes. Maybe we score in the fourth quarter a touchdown instead of a field goal. Maybe we see some improvement. But you're gonna have to see. Shuck's gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to give him more than 4 games to do it. 5 games with this team. It's kind of like Rattler last year with the 6 he had. I think Rattler's done fine. I think Rattler's proven that he could be our starting quarterback. You put the right pieces around him. The number one wide receiver, a couple of starting guards, and a number one tight end. Make every quarterback look good if you had the right pieces there. Well, Rattler looks pretty good right now. I would be excited to see what Rattler could do with a better offense, including offensive line and a couple more playmakers. With an offensive system and a play calling from a coach that has the pieces and can start to actually do something that works and stick to it. That's what I got to say about quarterback. It's inevitable. You're going to have to start Shuck. You have to know it's malpractice if you don't start him and play him. I would sit Rattler starting now and play Shuck the rest of the year and tell Rattler, you did good enough to be our starting quarterback. This guy's going to have to take us to a spot with wins and losses you didn't take us in the first 6 games for us to even consider starting him ahead of you. But we got to know. And I'd be content with not drafting a quarterback next year and starting Spencer Rattler. I'd be content with drafting a wide receiver, an edge rusher, a guard, a tight end, and a couple of cornerbacks and not drafting a quarterback and going in the next year with Rattler and Shuck again. It might be a bad idea, but that's where I'm at. Let's look at the defensive stats. And we're going to start off with the expatriate himself, defensive tackle Davin Gottschall leads the team in tackles at nose tackle with 7 tackles, including a tackle for a loss. Our defense was pretty good against the run, and really good against the run. We gave up a 20-yard run by May, but we only gave up 70 something yards total. They only averaged 2 point something yards a carry. We shut the run game down. So I got to give props to our front when it comes to stopping the run. We didn't give them very good run fits. And as a result, Gottschall had 7 tackles. Jonas Sanker had 6 total tackles and a tackle for a loss. Jonas Sanker was beaten coverage, not just once, more than once. And he was questionable about his tackling as well. He had 6 total tackles, but his overall PFF grade was pretty bad this week, one of the worst on the team. Pete Werner had one of the best PFF grades on the team this week. And a lot of people feel like Werner got sat and then came back later and fought for his life. Well, it is what it is. We gave some young linebackers a chance, and those linebackers came in and, according to PFF, performed really well. But PFF had Werner looking all right too. He finished with 5 tackles, a sack, a tackle for a loss, a pass defensed, and a quarterback hit. Alontae Taylor had 5 total tackles. He was bad in coverage. His PFF grade was bad, one of the worst on the team. The secondary had the bad grades. Sanker, Riley, Taylor all had bad PFF grades. Brian Bresee had 5 total tackles. He looked good. Kool-Aid McKinstry had 4 total tackles. He didn't look so hot. Isaiah Stallbird played a lot of third downs, got 4 total tackles. Special teams as well. Jonathan Bullard had his best day, 3 total tackles, including 2 tackles for losses. Bullard might be the stock up player of the game for me. Our run defense looked good, and Bullard was one of the reasons why. Brzee played decent against the run, and Gottschall played good against the run. So I got to give those guys credit. Demario Davis usually leads the team in tackles. This week he only had 3 total tackles, including 1 for a loss. Yeah, what can you expect? You kind of expect a really old middle linebacker to have bad games. Davis doesn't have bad games. This one, it wasn't very good statistically. Nathan Shepard had 3 total tackles, including 2 quarterback hits. Shepard played well against the run. Danny Stutzman came in, looked very good in his brief time. He only got, I think, 6 plays. Ended up with 3 tackles. He was on special teams too. So, but Stutzman looked good and Stallbird looked good, but so did Werner. Davis, I'm sure Davis looked great. He just didn't produce very many stats. Safety, Justin Reed had 3 total tackles and a tackle for a loss. When he got the tackle for a loss, he pumped his chest and I started laughing and my coworkers were laughing at me because I was laughing at him because you've been on this team for what, 6 games now and you finally made one good play and you pump your chest. I like Justin Reed. I hope he performs well in this system. And I hope the light bulb comes on soon because we're paying him a lot of money And I don't need to see you beating your chest when you have one tackle for a loss. Why don't you beat your chest after you make an interception or you get six, seven tackles, you don't get burned in coverage? Make a play. One play in 6 games is not chest pumping worthy. Okay. Jalen Ford finished with 2 total tackles, played special teams. All right. Now, at the bottom of this are the guys that got one tackle. Uh, Quincy Riley, he had one total tackle, but he did have one pass defensed. Riley graded out as the worst player, according to PFF, on the defense this week. Bumps and bruises of a fifth or fourth round rookie. We'll see. I think it's interesting. Side note, we traded Marshawn Lattimore, who was a cornerback. And with the third round pick and the fourth round pick we got from Marshawn Lattimore, we drafted safety Jonas Sanker and cornerback Quincy Riley. So we got two DBs in a trade where we got rid of a DB. So I think that's interesting. You kind of combine what Sanker and Riley do together and combine that to what Lattimore could have done. And yeah, that's as close as you're going to get to who won the trade. I think the Saints won the trade. Sanker and Riley are decent players, but you're going to suffer bumps and bruises. So the last row is put them together because outside of Howden, who only had one tackle, it's your entire edge rushing crew. They each had one tackle in this game. Cam Jordan, Chase Young, Carl Granderson, Chris Rump. All their names start with C. Cameron, Chase, Carl, Chris. They all got one tackle. And even though I heard the stat we registered, whatever, 18 pressures, I didn't really feel it all that much. We sure weren't converting pressures to sacks in this game. I saw one stat where they say we finished with 2 sacks, but I only have 1 sack credited to Werner. I think when the center snapped it past May, and then May jumped on the ball. I don't think that was considered a sack. I think that was considered a loss of yardage on a run play or something. But that's your defensive stats. Yeah, not much to talk about there. Yes, so the New England was held to 3 points in the second half. They were winning 22-16. They won 25-19. So we exchanged field goals in the second half. You need better from your offense. And yeah, you definitely need better from your defense. The best thing to do in the second half would have been to get New England off of the ball, off of the field faster. And that didn't happen. New England finished with a third down conversion of 6 out of 13. So they were a little worse than 50%. But yeah, they converted those third downs. And remember, when they scored those touchdowns in the first half, it was big play after big play. And I think a lot of these third downs came in the second half when the defense couldn't get the Patriots off the field. The Saints were only 3 of 9 on third downs, and that's that 33.3 pathetic area that we float around in. Fourth down conversions, New England was 1 of 2. We did not attempt a fourth down attempt. In the red zone, New England was 0 for 1. So hey, good job, Saints defense. You allowed 3 touchdowns, but none of them came in the red zone. So, The Saints were 1 of 2 in the red zone, which sounds good, 50%, but you didn't really get in the red zone in this game. You got in there twice. Most of our failed touchdown scoring attempts came when we couldn't convert a third down in the plus territory problems that we have. Do you have any medicine for plus territory problems? Are you having plus territory problems? Well, the medicine might be big wide receiver, starting tight end, couple of decent guards. And if that doesn't work, a quarterback, maybe some changes in coaching in the red zone. We need some changes in coaching between the 50 and the 20. We'll worry about the red zone later. I didn't see the pressure from the defense. It felt like they let the young secondary down. When you tell me we managed 18 pressures, I didn't see it when Drake May was easily moving around, easily completing passes down the field. And that's the final thing I'm going to say about this game. Is New England that much better than the Saints? Well, I think both rosters are average. What New England has is a franchise quarterback who can make things happen when things go bad. New England had 11 penalties. We had 8. New England had situations where the penalties really cost them big plays. New England got put in situations and they managed to overcome it because the wide receivers they have, who are not on paper better than the Saints wide receivers, they just managed to make the play. I mean, Chris Olave's dropping a ball in the end zone. He's jumping up for a ball and dropping it when he shouldn't have jumped up. He's catching a ball and then fumbling it away, and it was called an incompletion. He's doing all of that while Kayshawn Booty is catching the ball, holding on to the ball, making first downs, not fumbling it. Yeah. Hunter Henry wasn't effective for the Patriots against the Saints. We finally did well against a tight end. I promise you, Sanker's one of the reasons why. I'm assuming. I need to go back and find out how we shut Hunter Henry down because we need to take that and make sure that translates. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this forgetful game. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 as I'm going to preview the upcoming game against the Fighting Dennis Allens when we travel to Chicago to take on the Fighting DAs. And I'll also have another video on Thursday as well. And then we're gonna review that game next week. So subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments. I respond to the comments on my videos so we can actually have a dialogue. And go see my previous video from last week about positional needs. I'm going to address that every month of the season. A lot of Saints content providers are talking about it this week. They were so high about the Giants and didn't want to talk about it all that much and thought we had all the pieces in place. And I did a video about positional needs. And yeah, even though the DBs look good against the Giants, I still had cornerback as the number one need. Go back and watch that video because I don't think any of it changes. And I'll do another one next month, and we're going to continue to talk about it. I'm glad the rest of the Saints content providers are finally talking about it. I thought the Saints would be 7-10. It's not like I'm preparing for the worst, uh, expecting the worst. I am expecting some fight from this team, and I think we are good enough to win some of these close games. And trying to figure out the problems, that's going to be the fun part. Welcome to the party, every other content provider for the Saints. I've got 2 videos on positional needs so far this year, and I'll do one next month and the month after that, and we're going to continue to talk about it. Go back and watch that video. It won't get old. It'll be good all year long. And subscribe so you can get 2 videos on Thursday. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?